Please, help me. The desperate voice cut through Detroit's December wind, stopping 17-year-old Marcus Williams mid-step. He'd been heading for an abandoned warehouse's fire escape when the plea reached him from shadows between crumbling buildings. 3 years of street life had taught Marcus that helping strangers meant trouble. But something in that voice, raw desperation mixed with fading hope, reminded him of his own unanswered cries for help. He found the man slumped against brick walls, expensive black coat torn and bloodstained, salt and pepper hair matted with sweat, pale blue eyes sharp despite obvious pain, dark stains spread across his white shirt. "What happened?" Marcus whispered, kneeling beside him. "Car accident," the man gasped, though the holes looked like bullet wounds. "Can't go to hospital, they'll find me." And if you're watching this story, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers worldwide. The man pulled out a thick roll of cash. "Take me somewhere safe, clean the wounds, I'll pay." Marcus stared at more money than he'd seen in 3 years of survival. His empty stomach cramped, but something felt wrong. "I'm not a doctor. You need real help. Please." The word came barely audible. Nowhere else to go. That vulnerability broke through Marcus's defenses. He recognized it from his own reflection, absolute terror of being completely alone. "Okay," Marcus surprised himself. "I know a place, but if you die on me, I'm gone." The man managed a weak smile. Fair enough. Getting him to Marcus's hideout was a nightmare. The injured man, Vincent, could barely walk. They stopped constantly, ducking into doorways when certain vehicles approached. Vincent seemed to know which cars meant danger. Marcus's shelter was an abandoned 4-story building. Over 6 months, he'd made the 3rd floor livable with salvaged mattress, blankets, canned food, and medical supplies. Street life meant frequent injuries, and he'd become skilled at basic wound care. By candlelight, Marcus examined 3 bullet wounds, shoulder, ribs, and left arm. None immediately fatal, but all bleeding. "Who shot you?" Marcus asked while cleaning wounds. "Business associates with a difference of opinion." Marcus snorted. "Let me guess. Import, export." Vincent's laugh turned into a bloody cough. "Something like that. You're not naive. 3 years on these streets teaches you to recognize types. The way you knew which cars to hide from, that cash, the bullet wounds, you're connected to something illegal. And that doesn't scare you?" Marcus shrugged, bandaging the shoulder. "I've been beaten by cops, robbed by junkies, propositioned by perverts. I've slept in dumpsters and eaten garbage. If you wanted to hurt me, you'd have done it already." Vincent studied the boy's steady hands. "Where'd you learn first aid?" "YouTube before I lost my phone, library books, trial and error." Marcus moved to the next wound. "My grandmother said I had healing hands." "What happened to her?" "Cancer. Social services couldn't find family." Marcus's voice stayed neutral, but Vincent caught the pain underneath. When Marcus finished bandaging, he heated soup on a small camping stove. Vincent watched him move with practiced efficiency. "Why did you help me?" Vincent asked. Marcus stirred thoughtfully. "Maybe because I remember needing help and not getting it. Maybe because you said please." It was dangerous. When you're at the bottom, sometimes doing the right thing is all you've got left to prove you're still human. Vincent sipped soup, studying his unlikely savior. He'd built an empire on fear, surrounded himself with killers, lived where trust was deadly, yet this kid had risked his safety for a stranger. "The people who shot me won't stop looking. If they find me here, they'll kill you too." Marcus nodded. "Figured as much. I should leave. Can you walk?" Vincent tried, shifting and grimaced. "Not far." "Then you're stuck with me." Outside, snow began falling. Vincent closed his eyes, feeling safer than he had in years despite the danger. He didn't know his life was about to change completely. The next morning brought clarity and complications. Marcus woke to find Vincent sitting against the wall, color much improved. The bleeding had stopped, and alertness had returned to those pale blue eyes. "How you feeling?" Marcus asked, stirring their small fire. "Like I've been shot 3 times, but alive, thanks to you." Vincent watched the boy's movements. "You've got this down to a system." Marcus opened canned beans. "You hungry?" "Starving." Vincent accepted the warm can. "Marcus, I need to tell you something." Something in Vincent's tone made Marcus pause. "I'm not just some businessman. The people who shot me want me dead, not injured, and they won't stop." Marcus continued eating, unsurprised. "My real name is Vincent Torino. I run most of the organized crime in this city." The words hung between them. Marcus kept eating calmly. "You're the Vincent Torino? From the newspapers. You know who I am?" Marcus shrugged. "When you're on the streets, you know who controls what territories. Your people don't bother kids like me. Other bosses aren't so reasonable." Vincent stared. "And that doesn't change anything? Should it? Yesterday you were hurt and needed help. Today you're hurt and run illegal businesses. You still need help. Most people would run. Most people haven't watched how the world works from the bottom. Your organization keeps neighborhoods safe. Cops don't. And you don't deal drugs or traffic people." Vincent was quiet. In his world, loyalty was bought or enforced. He'd never encountered someone who chose to help simply because they could. "The men who shot me work for the Rossellis from New York. They want to expand into Detroit, and I've been resistant." "By resistant, you mean you told them to go to hell?" Vincent smiled grimly. "Something like that. 3 nights ago, negotiations became a gunfight. I barely escaped." Marcus absorbed this. "So what happens now?" "Now I need to contact my people, but I can't trust anyone. Someone gave the Rossellis information." "You think someone betrayed you?" "I know someone did. 5 people knew my location that night. One set me up." Marcus watched him pace slowly. Even injured, Vincent carried natural authority, but there was weariness beneath it. "How long have you been doing this?" 15 years running the family, but I grew up in it." "Do you like it?" The question stopped Vincent. No one had ever asked. "It's not about liking it. I have 300 people depending on me. Communities we keep safe when law enforcement can't. That's not what I asked." Vincent met the boy's gaze. "No, Marcus, most days I don't like it at all." The admission surprised them both. "Then why do it?" "Because if I don't, someone worse takes over. At least I have rules. I don't hurt innocents. The men trying to kill me have no such limitations." Marcus nodded. "So you're the lesser evil?" "I suppose. Must be lonely." "Very lonely." They sat in comfortable silence before Marcus spoke. "You need to contact your people. I might help." "How?" Marcus grinned. "Homeless kids are invisible. I know every street in 20 blocks. I can get places without being noticed." Vincent considered this. Risky, but he was out of options. "There's a restaurant called Gino's. Know it? Little Italy, always smells good. Go tomorrow morning early. Ask for Tony Marconi. Tell him the old man needs a family meeting, but the house isn't safe." Marcus nodded. "What if he doesn't believe me?" Vincent pulled a gold ring from his finger, heavy piece with intricate family crest. "Give him this, but Marcus, once you do this, you're not just helping a stranger, you're becoming part of something dangerous." Marcus took the ring, feeling its weight. "I'm already part of something dangerous. Now, I'm choosing to be." Vincent studied the boy's face, finding no fear. "Why are you willing to do this?" Marcus stared at the ring. "My grandmother told me about her father during the Depression. He ran a small store, barely surviving. One winter, a family moved upstairs, mother and 3 kids, no father. They had nothing. Vincent listened intently. My great-grandfather could barely feed his own family, but every day he'd send food upstairs. My grandmother asked why when they had so little. Ma, what did he say? When you have nothing left to lose, the only thing that can still be taken is your humanity. I won't let them have that. I think about that a lot. Vincent felt warmth spread through his chest. This boy had every reason to be bitter, yet was choosing to risk his life based on his great-grandfather's lesson about humanity. You're remarkable, Marcus shrugged. I'm trying not to become someone I'd be ashamed to face in the mirror. As night fell, both knew they were crossing a line with no return. Vincent was trusting his life to a 17-year-old. Marcus was entering a world where kindness was often weakness and trust could be fatal. Neither could predict what morning would bring, but both understood their fates were now linked. Morning arrived grey and cold. Marcus had been awake since dawn, mind racing with everything that could go wrong. Vincent slept fitfully, body fighting to heal. Marcus gathered his things, the ring, a worn baseball cap, and a small knife. He wasn't planning to use it, but experience taught him good intentions weren't always enough. Where are you going? Vincent's voice was alert. Marcus found him sitting up, eyes sharp despite pain. To deliver your message. The sooner your people know you're alive, the sooner we identify the traitor. Vincent struggled up. Too dangerous. I should go. You can barely walk without bleeding through bandages. Besides, they're looking for you, not some street kid. Vincent wanted to argue, but knew Marcus was right. More than that, he realized he trusted him. Be careful. Tony's a good man, but he's under pressure. Marcus headed for the door. Back before noon. The walk to Little Italy took 40 minutes. By carrying Vincent's ring, Marcus was officially involving himself in mob affairs. No returning to simple survival after this. But considering Vincent's words about being the lesser evil, about protecting innocence, Marcus realized he was okay with that. Sometimes you had to choose sides, and Vincent seemed like the right side. Gino's sat on a corner, red brick facade and green awning giving it old-world charm. Even at 9 a.m., bread and garlic aromas drifted out. Marcus had passed hundreds of times, always wondering what it would be like to sit at those red-checkered tables. He'd pushed through heavy wooden doors, hit by warmth and rich cooking smells. Nearly empty, just elderly men playing cards and a woman wiping tables. We're not open for lunch yet, honey, the woman called. Kind eyes, greying hair in a neat bun. But if you're hungry, I can make a sandwich. Marcus forced himself to focus despite hunger pangs. I'm looking for Tony Marconi. Her expression shifted. Who's asking? Someone who needs to talk about family business. She studied his face, then nodded toward the back, through the kitchen, up the stairs. But kid, be careful. Tony's been on edge. Marcus made his way through the kitchen to a narrow staircase. The second floor was office space. Waiting area with worn chairs, 3 doors to private offices. One was open, older man with thick glasses hunched over papers. Excuse me, Marcus said from the doorway. Tony Marconi. The man looked up, weathered face frowning. Tony was in his 60s, silver hair slicked back, hands showing work calluses. His eyes were sharp and suspicious. Depends who's asking. How'd you get up here? Marcus stepped inside and closed the door. I have a message from Vincent Torino. Tony's demeanor changed instantly. He was on his feet, hand moving toward a desk drawer. Vincent's dead. Who sent you? He's not dead. He's hurt, but alive. Marcus slowly pulled out the gold ring. He told me to give you this and say the old man needs a family meeting, but the house isn't safe. Tony stared at the ring, face going pale. Marcus saw his hands shake as he reached for it, examining the family crest. Where is he? Tony's voice was barely a whisper. Somewhere safe, but he says someone betrayed him. Tony sank into his chair, still staring at the ring. Jesus Christ! When we found all that blood and he never came home, Maria's been crying for days. Maria! His daughter, taking care of him since his wife died. Tony looked up with new interest. You're just a kid. How'd you find him? Marcus chose words carefully. I helped when he was hurt. He trusted me with this message. And he's really okay. He will be. But the Rossellis had inside information. They knew exactly where he'd be. Tony's face darkened. I've been thinking the same. That hit was too precise. Someone gave them Vincent's schedule. He wants a family meeting. All senior people. Risky if there's really a traitor. He knows, but it's the only way to flush them out. Tony was quiet, turning the ring over. Finally, he looked up with respect and concern. Kid, do you understand what you've gotten into? I'm starting to. This isn't a game. People die in our world. Good, bad, and innocent people in wrong places at wrong times. Marcus met his gaze steadily. Vincent told me the same. I'm still here. Tony studied him, then nodded slowly. What's your name? Marcus Williams. Well, Marcus Williams, you've got more backbone than most men working for us. Where can I reach Vincent? Marcus had anticipated this. You can't. He'll contact you, but he wants the meeting tomorrow night. Salvatore's back room. Tony nodded. I know it. What time? Midnight. How do I get word back? I'll return here tomorrow afternoon. 4 o'clock. Tony reached into his desk and pulled out a thick envelope. $5,000, take it. Marcus stepped back. I don't want your money. It's not charity, it's payment for services, and there'll be more work if you're willing. What kind of work? The kind that pays well and keeps you alive. Vincent's going to need someone he can trust completely, someone who can move around unnoticed, someone like you. Marcus stared at the envelope. 5,000 was more than he'd ever seen. Real food, warm clothes, maybe decent shelter. But taking it meant accepting his life had permanently changed. I'll think about it. Tony smiled. Fair enough. But Marcus, Vincent Torino doesn't forget favors. You've earned his loyalty, and that's worth more than money in this city. Marcus left with Tony's words echoing. The walk back gave him time to process everything. In 24 hours, he'd gone from invisible street kid to trusted messenger for Detroit's most powerful crime boss. When he arrived back at their hideout, Vincent was awake and alert, sitting near the window watching the street. How did it go? Tony believes you're alive. Meeting set for tomorrow night at Salvatore's, midnight. Vincent nodded approvingly. Good. Tony's solid. If anyone can help identify the traitor, it's him. Marcus sat across from Vincent. He offered me a job. Did he? Vincent's expression was neutral, but Marcus saw interest. What did you tell him? That I'd think about it. And what are you thinking? Marcus was quiet. 3 days ago, my biggest concern was finding food to survive the week. Now, I'm carrying mob messages and being offered more money than I've ever seen. Second thoughts? No, Marcus said with surprising certainty. First thoughts, real thoughts about what I want my life to be. Vincent leaned forward. And what do you want it to be? I want it to matter. I want to help people, make a difference. Maybe working with you, I can do that. This isn't charity work, Marcus. I know, but you have rules. You protect people who can't protect themselves. You keep neighborhoods safe when cops can't. That sounds like making a difference. Vincent was quiet, studying the boy's face. You understand if you do this? There's no going back. Once you're part of this family, you're part forever. What old life? Marcus laughed without humor. Sleeping in abandoned buildings? Digging through dumpsters? That's not life, that's surviving. And you think this would be better? I think this would be living. Vincent felt that familiar warmth. This kid had clarity most adults lacked. He saw the world as it was, not as it should be, and was willing to make hard choices. There's something you should know. Tony mentioned my daughter Maria. She's been taking care of me since my wife died, and she'll have questions about you. What kind of questions? The kind from a 25-year-old woman who's watched her father's world try to kill him most of her life. She doesn't trust easily. Marcus nodded. I understand. She's the only family I have left. Her opinion matters more than anyone's. Are you warning me or asking something? Vincent smiled. Both. Maria has good instincts about people. If she doesn't trust you, this won't work. And if she does, then you'll have found yourself a very dangerous but very loyal family. As the day wore on, they planned for tomorrow's meeting. Vincent explained Salvatore's layout, key players attending, and subtle signs indicating lies or nervousness. Remember, tomorrow night I'll be watching everyone carefully. The traitor will give themselves away somehow. When they do, I need to be ready. What happens then? Vincent's expression grew cold. Then we deal with the problem permanently. Marcus felt a chill, glimpsing the darker side of Vincent's world. Have you ever... Marcus started, then stopped. Killed someone? Vincent finished. Yes, more than once. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's part of this life. Sometimes it's the only way to protect people you care about. Does it get easier? No. And the day it does is the day you've lost your soul. That evening, sharing another simple meal, Marcus thought about his grandmother. She'd always believed people had choices, that you could still choose to be good no matter how bad things got. You're thinking about your grandmother, Vincent said quietly. Marcus looked up, startled. How did you know? You get a certain look when you think about her, like you're asking for guidance. I guess I am. She always told me to help people when I could. What do you think she'd say? Marcus considered carefully. I think she'd say sometimes the right choice isn't the safe choice, and that good people have to stand up to bad people, even when it's dangerous. She sounds wise. She was. She used to say God puts people in our path for a reason. Vincent was quiet. Do you think that's what happened? God putting us in each other's path? I don't know about God, Marcus said honestly, but I know meeting you has given me hope, purpose, the feeling my life might lead somewhere meaningful. Vincent felt something he hadn't experienced in years, the sense he might give someone else a better life instead of just protecting his own interests. Marcus, Vincent said quietly, tomorrow night will be dangerous. If something goes wrong, I want you to run. Don't try to help. Don't try to be a hero. Just get out. I'm not abandoning you. You're ensuring this wasn't for nothing. If I don't make it, I need to know you'll be okay. Marcus met his eyes. We're both making it through tomorrow night. Then we'll figure out who betrayed you. Vincent smiled, despite himself. You're confident for someone who's never been to a mob meeting. I'm confident because I trust you, and because I've got nothing left to lose and everything to gain. As they settled for the night, both knew the next 24 hours would change everything. But for the first time in years, Vincent wasn't facing a crisis alone. Tomorrow night would test them both in unimaginable ways, but tonight neither was alone. The next day crawled by, Vincent growing restless as evening approached. His wounds were healing, but Marcus could see tension building as he mentally prepared for confrontation ahead. At 4 o'clock, Marcus returned to Gino's as planned. Tony was waiting in the same office, but he wasn't alone. A young woman sat across from his desk, and Marcus knew immediately this was Maria Torino. She was beautiful in a way that spoke of strength. Dark hair in a severe ponytail, intelligent brown eyes that missed nothing, posture suggesting she could handle any situation. When she looked at Marcus, he felt like she was seeing right through him. "So you're the kid who found my father," she said without preamble. "I'm Marcus. I know who you are. What I don't know is why you helped him." Marcus glanced at Tony, who shrugged. He looked back at Maria, still studying him. "Because he needed help and I could give it. That's it? No ulterior motive? No angle?" Maria stood and walked around him slowly, like a predator circling prey. "You're 17. Yes. Living on the streets how long? 3 years, and you never learned that helping strangers can get you killed. I learned that not helping people can kill your soul." Maria stopped directly in front of him. "Pretty sentiment, but my father's world doesn't run on pretty sentiments. It runs on loyalty, respect, and understanding that weakness gets you buried." Marcus met her gaze directly. "Your father told me the same thing. I'm still here." "Why?" "Because sometimes you meet someone worth taking a risk for." For the first time, Maria's expression softened slightly. "And you think my father is worth that risk?" "I think your father's trying to do the right thing in a world where the right thing isn't always clear. I think he has rules that protect innocent people." Maria exchanged a look with Tony. "He's been talking to my father, all right. Those are almost Vincent's exact words." Tony leaned forward. "The kid's solid, Maria." "I can see it. You can see it or you want to see it. 30 years in this business, I know the difference." Maria turned back to Marcus. "My father wants you at the meeting tonight." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "What?" "He wants you there as his personal representative." "I don't understand." Maria sat back down, expression serious. "Someone betrayed my father, someone he trusted completely. He's realized he needs people with no connection to traditional power structures, people whose loyalty can't be bought or compromised." "He thinks that's me? He knows that's you. You had every opportunity to take his money and disappear, or sell information about his location. Instead, you risked your safety to help him recover and contact his people." Marcus felt responsibility settling on his shoulders. "What exactly would I be doing?" Tony answered. "Watching, listening. Vincent thinks because you're new to this, you might notice things the rest of us would miss, fresh eyes. And if I see something?" "You tell Vincent immediately," Maria said. "But Marcus, you need to understand, if there's trouble tonight, people might die, including you." Marcus thought about Vincent's words about running if things went bad, but he also thought about the trust placed in him. "I'll be there," he said. Maria studied his face for another long moment, then nodded. "Good. But there are rules." She spent 20 minutes explaining meeting protocol, where to sit, when to speak, never unless asked, how to recognize trouble signs, what to do if violence erupted. Most importantly, she finished, everyone in that room will be watching you. You're an unknown quantity, and that makes people nervous. Any advice? Be yourself. My father trusts you because you're honest and direct. Don't try to be something you're not." As Marcus prepared to leave, Tony handed him a new cell phone. "Vincent's number is programmed in. If anything happens before tonight, call immediately." Walking back through the city, Marcus felt the full weight of his commitment. In hours, he'd be sitting with Detroit's most dangerous men, trying to help identify a traitor who wouldn't hesitate to kill him if discovered. But he also felt belonging he'd never experienced. These people had accepted him into their circle. They trusted him with their lives. When he arrived back at the building, he found Vincent dressed in a clean black suit Maria had brought. Despite bandages still visible under his shirt, he looked every inch the powerful crime boss he was. "You ready for this?" Vincent asked. Marcus straightened his shoulders, "As ready as I can be." "Good, because tonight we find out who tried to kill me, and then we make sure they never get another chance." Salvatore's back room was exactly as Vincent described. Private dining area separated from the main restaurant by heavy wooden doors. A long table dominated the space, with chairs for 8 people. 5 men were already seated when Vincent and Marcus arrived. Marcus recognized Tony, but the others were strangers, older men with weathered faces and expensive suits, all looking up with surprise when they saw Marcus. "Gentlemen," Vincent said, taking his seat at the table's head and gesturing for Marcus to sit beside him. "I'd like you to meet Marcus Williams. He's the reason I'm alive for this conversation." The introductions were brief but telling. Marcus watched each face as Vincent explained how Marcus had found and helped him. Most showed curiosity or approval, but one man, thin, nervous-looking Paul Ricci, seemed uncomfortable, eyes darting between Vincent and Marcus with obvious suspicion. "Now then," Vincent said once everyone was seated, "let's talk about what happened 3 nights ago." For the next hour, they dissected every detail of the attack. Who knew Vincent would be at the warehouse, what time he was expected, which routes he usually took. Marcus listened carefully, not just to words, but to tone, body language, the subtle signs Maria had taught him to watch for. It was Ricci who finally gave himself away. When Tony mentioned the Rossellis had known exactly which entrance Vincent would use, Ricci's hand went unconsciously to his throat. A nervous gesture Vincent caught immediately. "Paul," Vincent said quietly, "you seem uncomfortable." "It's just, this is all very disturbing. To think someone we trust—" "Yes," Vincent agreed. "Someone we trust. Someone who knew my habits, my schedule, my preferences." His voice grew colder. "Someone who's been feeding information to the Rossellis for months." The room went dead silent. Marcus could feel tension ratcheting to dangerous levels. "Vincent," Ricci said, voice shaking, "surely you don't suspect one of us." "I don't suspect, Paul. I know." Vincent reached into his jacket and pulled out a small recording device. "This is a conversation between you and Carlo Rosselli from 2 weeks ago. Would you like me to play it?" Ricci's face went white. For a moment, Marcus thought he might deny it. Then his shoulders sagged in defeat. "They have my grandson," Ricci said quietly. "Little Tommy. They took him from school 3 weeks ago. Said they'd kill him if I didn't cooperate." The admission hung in the air like a death sentence. Marcus could see the other men's faces harden. "Why didn't you come to me?" Vincent asked, voice holding more sadness than anger. "Because they said they'd know if I told anyone." "They have people everywhere, Vincent, even in our organization." "Who? I don't know. They never told me, but someone else is feeding them information too." Vincent absorbed this silently. Marcus could see him weighing options, calculating the best way to handle a situation that had become much more complicated. "Where's your grandson now?" Vincent asked finally. "I don't know. They move him every few days. They call with instructions, but I never see him." Vincent looked around the table at his other lieutenants. This changes things. If they have Paul's grandson, this isn't just about territory, it's about family. Tony Marconi spoke up. "What do you want to do, Vincent?" "We get the boy back, and then we make the Rossellis understand that taking our children is a line they should never have crossed." Marcus watched this exchange with fascination. He'd expected Vincent to order Ricci's execution immediately. Instead, he was planning a rescue mission for a traitor's grandson. It was exactly the kind of moral complexity that had drawn Marcus to Vincent. "Paul," Vincent said, turning back to the trembling man, "you're going to help us get Tommy back, and then you're going to disappear. New identity, new city, new life. But if you ever betray this family again, grandson or no grandson, I will find you and kill you myself." Ricci nodded frantically. "Thank you, Vincent. Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when your grandson is safe." The meeting broke up shortly after, with assignments given and plans made. As the other men filed out, Vincent asked Marcus to stay behind. "What did you think of that?" Vincent asked when they were alone. "I think Paul Ricci is a broken man who made impossible choices to save someone he loves." "And what would you have done in his place?" Marcus considered carefully. "I don't know. I hope I would have found another way, but if it was someone I cared about, someone depending on me for protection, I might have made the same choice." Vincent nodded approvingly. "That's honest. And it's why I wanted you here tonight." "Because I'm honest. Because you understand the world isn't divided into good people and bad people. It's divided into people trying to do their best in difficult circumstances, and people who've given up trying to do the right thing at all." As they drove back through the city, Marcus reflected on everything he'd witnessed. The meeting had been a masterclass in leadership. Vincent had identified the traitor, discovered the larger threat, and found a way to show mercy while maintaining order. "What happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now we plan a rescue operation. And Marcus, I'm going to need your help." "What kind of help?" Vincent smiled grimly. "The kind that might get us both killed. But also the kind that might save an innocent child's life." Marcus looked out at the city lights passing by. "Then let's save him." Over the next 2 days, they planned the rescue with military precision. Paul Ricci provided what information he could about the Rosselli's operation, while Tony's police contacts helped identify possible locations where they might be holding Tommy. Marcus found himself taking on more responsibility than he'd ever imagined. Vincent trusted him to coordinate between groups, carry messages that couldn't be sent over phones, and scout locations without arousing suspicion. "You have natural talent for this," Vincent told him one evening as they reviewed the rescue plan. "I want to help people, solve problems, make sure the good guys win more often." Vincent was quiet for a moment. "This isn't a game, Marcus. If we go to war with the Rossellis over one child, people will die. Good people, bad people, and people caught in the middle. I know that. But if we don't do this, Tommy Ricci dies, and every other family in this city learns their children can be taken and used as leverage. You're thinking like a leader. I'm thinking like someone who remembers what it's like to be powerless." The rescue took place on a cold Thursday night at a warehouse on the city's outskirts. Marcus's role was simple but crucial: create a distraction that would draw guards away from the building where Tommy was being held. At exactly midnight, he set off small explosions in empty buildings 3 blocks away. As sirens wailed and Rosselli's men rushed to investigate, Vincent and his team moved in. 20 minutes later, it was over. Tommy Ricci, scared but unharmed 8-year-old, was reunited with his grandfather. 3 Rosselli soldiers were dead, and the rest had fled back to New York with clear understanding that Detroit was not available for expansion. "You did good tonight," Vincent told Marcus as they watched Paul Ricci hug his grandson. "You helped save that boy's life." "We all did." "No, Marcus. I've been in this business 15 years, and I've learned to recognize moments that define who we really are. Tonight was one of those moments for you." Marcus watched Tommy Ricci look around with wide, frightened eyes. The boy was safe, but he'd been traumatized. It would take time to recover. "Was it worth it?" Marcus asked. "Ask me that in 10 years, when that boy is grown up and safe and living a normal life, because we chose to fight for him instead of writing him off as collateral damage." As they drove back into the city, Marcus realized his life had fundamentally changed again. He was no longer just helping Vincent recover. He was part of Vincent's organization now, part of a family that looked out for each other and protected the innocent. "What happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now you decide if this is really what you want. Because after tonight, there's no going back to being just another street kid. You're Vincent Torino's right-hand man now, and that comes with responsibilities, dangers, and rewards that will shape the rest of your life." Marcus looked out at the city he'd called home for 3 years, the streets where he'd struggled to survive, the neighborhoods where he'd learned hard lessons about justice and injustice. "I've already decided," he said. "This is exactly what I want." Vincent smiled and reached over to clasp Marcus's shoulder. "Then welcome to the family, son. Welcome home." 6 months later, Marcus Williams was no longer the scared, hungry street kid who'd found an injured stranger in an alley. He was Vincent Torino's most trusted lieutenant, the bridge between the old world of organized crime and a new generation that understood true power came from protecting people, not exploiting them. The abandoned building where Vincent had recovered was now a legitimate community center, funded by Torino family money and staffed by people who understood what it meant to need help with nowhere to turn. Marcus had his own apartment now, good clothes, regular meals, and respect of dangerous men throughout the city. But more importantly, he had a family that valued him, a purpose that fulfilled him, and knowledge that his choices mattered. Sometimes helping a stranger doesn't just save their life, sometimes it saves your own. The street urchin who'd offered assistance to a wounded man had become a force for justice in a world where justice was often in short supply. And the mob boss who'd learned to trust again had found something more valuable than power or money. He'd found a son. Their story was far from over. Detroit was a big city with plenty of problems needing solutions. But together, they'd proven that even in the darkest places, kindness could take root and grow into something powerful enough to change the world.